What's up, my Makokos, Raid Pros and Bonk Bros, Defender here, and welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to continue the conversation about making gold and using your Stronghold and your trade skills to do so. And I want to talk about how I've set everything up and how you can do it too, what to invest in, and then kind of once it's all set up and ready, you can kind of just print gold as you go. Obviously there are some limitations, but we'll go through that in the video, and I want to discuss kind of why I've got things set up the way I have, the tools I use, the settings I use in the Stronghold, and just why they're that way. Go through some of the numbers so that you can understand as well. But before we get into today's video, you guys know the drill with YouTube. If you like the video and you appreciate the content, please consider dropping me a subscribe. Let me know down in the comments down below if there's any ways that I can improve the video, or if I've got something wrong maybe, or maybe you just want to share your opinions on the matter. I always appreciate hearing from you guys. Your feedback's incredible. I'm taking on board everything you guys are saying, and I try and communicate with you guys as much as possible in the comments down below. And so yeah, if you like the content, please consider doing any of those. I'd really appreciate your support. We're going to keep growing as a community, and I want to keep delivering amazing content to you guys. But anyway, let's get straight into the video. Enjoy. So I want to start with the Stronghold, out of the Stronghold and the trade skills, purely because if we look at the Stronghold first, we can work backwards and then decide about the trade skills after, so that you know which trade skills to level up if you haven't already. Instead of dividing amongst all of them, you can focus on a few, and that way it's better. Okay, so if we look at the Stronghold, like I said in my previous video, so this is a continuation. In the previous video we were talking about the special crafting, so your basic area fusion materials being a really good source of gold, and also some of the battle items as well. So with that in mind, I want to talk about the most important things to invest in the Stronghold, and I want to start with the special materials. So if we look at the special materials, basic area fusion materials come from any of the three trade skills that we have: hunting, fishing, and excavating. Okay, so right off the bat, choose one of those three. But let's talk about the Stronghold settings. So if we're choosing something for special materials, so say we're crafting the basic area fusions, you have a choice of increasing your success of crafting extra bonus crafting, if you will. So you might create duplicates of an item. You have reduced cost, and you have the reduced time. Okay, now out of these three, only one of them is really worth investing in, and that is the reduced cost. For a bonus crafting actually isn't that beneficial to stack, and it's not multiplicative and it's not additive. So technically speaking, having multiple bonuses of that doesn't work out to be that strong. Whereas if we look at the reduced cost, it actually is additive. So it actually can help save a lot of gold in the crafting up front, which means you can make a bigger profit in the long run. And so what I've done is I've fully invested in reducing the cost of special crafting, which is specifically on the fusion materials, because that's what I'm looking at to make a profit, and which is what I would recommend for you too as well. And so these are the important ones here I've got on screen for you today. So I'll show you what they all are individually. But if we go to the settings first, you go to your Manor, and your Manor is going to be where you can assign your bonuses. Okay, so you have your effects, and it's divided into structures and outfits. So we're starting with structures. You want to get something that's going to reduce the crafting costs. And right now, the best item in the game, as far as I know, with career as well, is in the store for blue crystals. It's part of the Christmas shop kind of period, so it's available for the next 30 odd days. And it's the ANSM-L snow machine. Okay, so if I have it here in the Stronghold, you can see it's like a snow creation machine. You know, it just makes snow to go in your Stronghold. Nothing special, it's just a little bit silly. But its benefits in the shop can be seen, and they're hugely beneficial. And it's actually obtainable for blue crystals, which means you can invest in it for gold. As you can see here it is, and it's available for the next 28 days as of the day I'm making this video, which is the 21st, I believe. Yeah, 21st of December. So it's going to be around until, what's the 18th of January or so, somewhere around the 18th of January. So if you're seeing this before then, this is a must purchase. Now you can't have two of these, only uses one of the bonuses when you apply it. So make sure you only buy one. And if we think about this as a total cost as an investment, all you have to do is look at crystals, and see right now it's about 2160 for 95 of them, and you're going to need an extra fifth on top of that. So you're looking at about 2700 gold it would cost you for this item in the store, but it's absolutely worth the investment. Okay, it's the best item you can get right now for your mana, the special materials. And then the next best option to run alongside it would be something like the Divine Protection. Really good in terms of just its overall benefits. As you can see, it just reduces the cost of crafting for everything, and just 2% reduced cost on energy consumption as well. And there isn't really a better option for special items. If you were to run battle items instead, there are some options that can be worth putting into, but generally speaking, these are the best two for special effects across the board. And then if we go into outfits, as you can see here in the picture, I've got Thyrain and Pyla. Okay, so they're two of the characters you can get in the Stronghold from your rapport, and the outfits that you have on them is actually really important. The outfits aren't just about cosmetic, they actually give you bonuses. So with Thyrain's is going to give you a 1% crafting cost reduction for everything that you do in the Stronghold, which is huge. There isn't really anything better than that for special, except for the other one, which is Pyla, and he's going to give you a reduced cost of 2%, and also 4% crafting great success, which I talked about doubling. It's not that important, we're running it for the reduced cost, but it's a nice bonus. And these are both obtainable by going to wardrobe, and then you choose the characters and you buy the secondary option from the first one. And I believe there are some blue crystals applied to this as well, so it is going to cost you some gold, but it's absolutely worth investing in these now. I can't remember exactly what the cost was for Thyrain. It probably is 350 as well, so if we say it's about 700 crystals for the two outfits between them, that's going to cost you somewhere around the price of 14 to 15,000 gold up front, along with the 2,500 for the snow machine. But I can already tell you that that's going to pay off in a week or two just from crafting special materials. And it's going to reduce the cost of crafting all of these fusion materials. As you can see, this one's gone down. It's a 12% decrease in price. So it's absolutely worth running this, and you can see here if you hover over it just where these reductions come from. And this is going to pay off hugely over time, and it's worth investing in now because it will hold you through till the end of the game when you stop playing, or when the game no longer requires these. But up until this point in time, these are always selling, and there's always a demand for them. And until the superior fusion materials are worth crafting, because of the prices maybe going up, or maybe they change this to give you more than it does at the moment, these are going to be highly desirable even for alts that people play, and when there isn't power passes, or even when there are power passes and hyper expresses, it's never enough to get you all the way, so you're going to need to invest in some more, and these always sell. Now, in my previous video I was showing you how I was selling these every day, and I made several 100,000 plus, or close to 300,000, right? And I was selling these at 12. Now they've gone down in the last couple of days because the demand has dropped, because summoners are caught up again. But that drought is slowly going to dwindle as we move into the new year. The roadmap has been released today saying that Artist isn't coming until April. So over the next course of the next 4 months, the prices of these are going to go back up a little bit, because people are going to be making alts because they're no longer waiting for the artist. They're going to make another character instead, and we're going to see these superior fusion materials go up in price as well. As you can see, it's slightly higher than the average was for the past week already, and hopefully this goes up to a point where it's profitable. So we have those settings set up for the Stronghold, and we're talking about special materials, okay? Like I said before, you can make some of the battle items as well, like the whirlwinds, the HP, the dark bombs, the sprinters robes, the destruction bombs. Those kind of things are really worth investing time into in crafting as well, but you would need to then change the mana to suit that better by going for structures that help with battle items, okay? And make sure you have the right battle item once set. So obviously certain ones will be bombs, certain ones will be potions, and certain ones will be grenades. So make sure you have the right ones set up for each of those. Then let's quickly go over trade skills, because trade skills are what you need to feed into the Stronghold to craft to then sell. So it's a two-part process. And trade skills, I would say you only really need to focus on 2 trade skills out of the 6, and I divide them into 2 separate lots of 3. Okay, so the first 3 are foraging, logging, and mining. okay? And the second set of 3 are hunting, fishing, and excavating. And the reason I divide these up is because they're used for different things. Okay, so hunting, fishing, and excavating are all used in special material crafting, so the fusion materials. These are the 3 that you need to craft them. And I've focused specifically on excavating, but you could go for fishing instead, or even hunting if you wanted to. But I believe personally that excavating is the best one because of the bonuses you can get from doing excavating with the mini games, and the bonuses you have to get extra crafting materials. You can even get the tool materials to craft rarer tools and have more bonuses. Okay, so that's the special materials, and then let's talk about the first 3, which are foraging, logging, and mining. Out of these 3, foraging is the absolute best choice you can go for, okay? So not only is it going to help you produce your HP potions, which everybody always needs, including yourself, but foraging has a uniqueness to it that has a term called green thumb at level 30. And what this does is it boosts the effects of green thumb, boosts the effects of your foraging, and the speed, okay? And the best part about this is this translates into Platinum Field, and Platinum Field with this is where you can make big money. Okay, so let's say we choose foraging and excavating, okay? Now, in my opinion, the best thing you can do for both of those is to use epic tools. You don't need to go above epic. Legendary and relic are extremely expensive because they're extremely rare to get the tool materials to craft, okay? So whilst I'm doing excavating, the mini games I do, or the extra treasures that spawn, often give these adept craft kits, okay? And they come very rarely, and they're very expensive on the market if you wanted to buy the legendary or the relic versions. And the reason I say you don't need to go above epic is because when you're crafting them in your stronghold, they're going to be assigning random attributes from a list of ones that you can get. So there's a big risk to it when you're crafting them about what you're actually going to get back in return. So in my opinion, it's not worth gambling on anything higher than adept, just because adepts are so easy to get and they're so cheap to work with. So the ones I've aimed for with mine, I haven't crafted a lot. I've just gone for the bare minimum. So with Green Thumb, I think it's really important to have super armor so that you're not getting interrupted when you're trying to pick up a lot of the foraging in the platinum fields or out in the wild, because then someone else could steal them in the wild. And also just to get extra basic rewards, because the basic ones, the uncommons, are the ones that you really need. The extra ones at the top end, you don't need as much. And it's the same with excavating, okay? With excavating, I've gone for the basic reward bonus and the mini game bonus and difficulty reduction. Now the mini game is something you get every 5 levels, every time you go for 5 excavating pickups, you're going to get a mini game on the 6th one. And the mini game is simply just a bar that has a slider on it, and you need to land 3 points on the slider. If I've got a clip, I'll put it up on the screen for you, and that's going to net you huge return on the loot that you would get just from normally excavating, up to hundreds. I've seen higher than 200 of each of the materials pop up on a perfect one on an epic spawn. So it's absolutely worth investing in mini game and basic rewards. Basic reward bonus is the one you need the best on both of them, because when you go to craft, you'll see that basic reward is the most annoying amount of any resource you need. You can see here I've got thousands and thousands of the rare one and the uncommon one. I've got thousands of them. I'm not in any short supply of those at all. The one I'm in short supply of is the common grey basic one, okay? And that one is the same across the board for all of these. That is the one you struggle with the most. For some reason, the drop rate is heavily scaled against it, and it's the one that you're going to struggle with, and you can't convert downward into those. You can only convert upwards with the vendor. So getting as much of these as you can from your life skill is really, really important, okay? And that's really all I have to cover on those trade skills, okay? And then the last point I wanted to cover is the bonus gold section of the Stronghold. So it's not just all about trade skills and using trade skills to craft. There are a few other things you can do to make gold, okay? And the few that I want to touch on today are, firstly, if you go to special again, go to Powder of Sage. Okay, so Powder of Sage is something you use to help double your learning, if you will, on the tripod. You're trying to learn a tripod level from a piece of, from an amulet, not a piece of broken gear anymore, from an amulet, because they've changed that system now. You're going to be using Powder of Sage, and you only get a finite amount of this from drops in the login bonuses, the art passes, the Twitch, all that stuff. You never get enough, and people are always trying to learn tripods, especially for new characters. And these sell for a huge profit, sometimes an extra 100% profit on top of the cost. And what they need really, as you can see, these resources are really not that bad at all, and the cost of crafting is very low. But what they need is something from a vendor in your stronghold. And so if you go down to this vendor down here, and you talk to her, you can see you can buy the material you need to make Stone of Sage. Okay, and it's going to cost you 800 Adventurer's Seals. And these things are quite expensive to get because they're coming from dispatches. So, as you can see, there's a limit of 10 per day. But these things sell for a good profit, and because we're working in special, it's always worth investing in these as well. I'm just going to craft these, and you can see the cost is reduced as well. So it's already a better profit than before because we've invested in special, and it's that simple to craft these, and they sell for a decent profit across the board, and they're always desirable, and they will always sell immediately. Now, the other thing you can do for a profit, and this one is RNG, but it has paid off for me before several times, is if you go to dispatch, okay, and you go to your special missions. This is where you can send off your characters, your alts, on their daily, their weekly expeditions, their daily or weekly instances that they might need to run. And so what I've done here is I've sent my summoner off on 2 lots of their daily Guardian raid, and it's going to come back with anything from these rewards. Obviously, the higher chance of success here on the right, the better the chance of the rewards are. Over time, I've been doing this on my 1370 mage, my sorceress, and a couple of times over the past month or so I've had the Sorceress Igniter book come back. For some reason it seems heavily weighted in one way of the engravings and not the other. I've never had a reflux book, whether it's purple or legendary at all, but I've had a lot of Igniter epic books, and I've had 2, maybe 3 now Igniter legendary books, and I don't need them for myself because it's just a 1370 alt, and so I'm able to sell those Igniter books for 10,000 plus gold at a time, sometimes even a lot more when the market is really booming. And so this is an extra means to just send off an alt that you're not even doing the Guardians on if they're a decent level, and it gives you a chance of obtaining a huge amount of gold in return just for a little bit of your action energy from your stronghold. And I think it's absolutely worth it to send off a character on your list of characters on your roster that has a book that's worth a lot. So for me right now, my summoner, because I'm not running the Guardian dailies on them, I've sent her off, and if it was to return either of the summoner books, if I was to look on the market right now, either of those summoner books are definitely going to be selling for a decent price. Let's have a look here. Summoner Master Summoner, 14,000, and Summoner's Communication Overflow for 12,000. Someone missed out a 0 on the end of that, and they're going to be kicking themselves. But as you can see, very decent profit margin on that. Well, it's 100% profit, but it's RNG. But if you have the action energy, it's absolutely worth sending those off. Maybe you have just a 1370 alt sitting around somewhere that you don't play. Go for the one that's going to sell the most and just send them off every day on dispatches. It's 0 risk. You're going to return something every time, whether it's just unbound materials, whether it's an engraving. It's worth doing if you have the action energy. Nothing more to it than that, nice and simple. Okay, and that just about rounds up the video really, guys. So I've gone over the Stronghold, I've gone over the trade skills, I've gone over how they combine together and which ones you should focus on. And if you set up the Stronghold this way by investing some gold in now up front, the old saying, have you got to spend money to make money, you will absolutely thank me later when you start to return huge profits on this. As you can see in my previous video, I made 200,000-300,000 this past week just doing this, whilst the market was really thirsty for the materials. And I think, you know, the longer we go with content over the next kind of 4 months, I think on the roadmap it looked like there's a good option for profit as people start to gear up into the higher versions of tier 3. I think the prices are going to start to go up a little bit more, and I think we'll see the fusion material prices go up. So we're just going to profit off the back of other people being too lazy to do their trade skills and their stronghold, and we're going to take advantage of that by doing it ourselves and selling for a big profit. So make sure you get involved in it and take advantage whilst you can. And remember guys, if you're new to the channel, please consider dropping a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I'd really appreciate that. It helps me push the content out to more people. And Iggy would also always appreciate it, wouldn't you, Bubba? You say thank you, and we'll see you in the next one. Oh, you're so shy. You're such a shy baby. You say bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you in the next one.